This female sniper, who has never missed a shot, is assassinating the newly elected President of the United States. Unexpectedly, as soon as he opened the 8x mirror, the President learned from the strong light in the distant mirror that he was being targeted. However, he appeared particularly calm and even calculated the distance between the assassin and himself to be 300 to 300 meters using a formula. Immediately after, gunshots rang out, and the President, who could easily dodge bullets, intentionally got hit in the shoulder. Originally, all of this was within his plan, and he understood that being assassinated would also receive greater nominal support. And this deeply entrenched president was just a poor and destitute boy a year ago. Xiao Shui considers himself a top novelist, but for the past 3 months, he couldn't write a single word, and his girlfriend who has been with him for many years also left him because of this. Since then, Xiao Shui has been feeling lethargic and drinking all day long. But one day, he met his former brother-in-law, whose appearance gave him hope for life from a low point. My brother-in-law not only wears suits and leather shoes, but even the expensive Lafite can be bought at will. The reason why he is so wealthy is because his company has developed this transparent pill. At first, Xiao Shui didn't listen and thought it was just a new type of prohibited item. Although he didn't agree at first, he reluctantly accepted the idea that this game would sell for $800. And when I think about how miserable my life has become, there's nothing left to lose anyway. Then Xiao Shui swallowed it down, unaware that this decision would shape his path of launching a comeback. As soon as he returned home, he met the landlady's wife who came to ask for rent. Faced with the other party's debt collection, Xiao Shui not only did not shrink back, but even inexplicably developed an extraordinary confidence. He felt his pupils constantly expanding, and everything around him became bright and transparent. Not only can he hear subtle noises that are usually difficult to detect, but he can also read every strand of the landlord's hair clearly. Even with just a glance at the book in his bag, the content can come to mind word for word. And through these subtle details, he keenly sensed the landlord's wife's heart and began to, "Is it?" This sudden change surprised the landlady greatly, and then Xiao Shui accurately speculated that he was studying law school and even guessed that he was worried about writing his graduation thesis. Xiao Shui frankly stated that this book is not suitable for reference because it was written by the author's assistant. He then began to provide careful guidance to make his review more efficient. In just 1 minute, Xiao Shui made the landlady shift from anger to admiration, which not only saved him from 3 months of rent, but also gave him the opportunity to exercise with the landlady. After experiencing these things, Xiao Shui only felt a deep shock. He never expected that this small pill could make him smarter than Einstein. Countless inspirations gushed out like a spring. A novel that he once couldn't write for 3 months was now almost completed in just an hour. On the second day, Xiao Shui sent the novel he had finished writing last night to the publishing house, but the landlady looked down upon him and didn't even read it. He felt that Xiao Shui couldn't even write a popular novel. But Xiao Shui confidently said that if I browse through 3 pages of my novel, you will have to kneel down and beg me for updates. As expected, as soon as he got home at night, he received a phone message from his boss. This sudden success made Xiao Shui incredulous, as if a great writer had also been born at this moment. And just as he was about to reply to the boss's message, a chill surged in his heart. It turned out that the efficacy of the pill was only a short 24 hours, and Xiao Shui couldn't bear to become an ordinary person again. Immediately after, he arrived at his brother-in-law's doorstep again, only to see him with a bruised nose and swollen face as soon as he opened the door, and his appearance seemed to be as expected by his brother-in-law. He confessed to Xiao Shui that the pill had not been approved by the Drug Administration, and the last one was just stolen from the company by himself. "If you still want it now, then go and order me some takeout first." Faced with his brother-in-law's arrogant request, Xiao Shui had no choice but to obediently comply. However, when he returned happily, he found that the door he had closed before leaving had been opened. Entering the room, I saw a complete mess. And when he saw his brother-in-law's tragic situation, he was immediately frightened and collapsed in place. He quickly took out his phone and dialed 911. However, while he was waiting for the police, Xiao Shui finally remembered his purpose for this trip. When he looked at the messy pills in the room, he immediately guessed that his brother-in-law had been assassinated because of the pills, so he quickly put on his gloves and searched everywhere. And soon, he found the private money hidden by his brother-in-law in the bread maker. There happened to be a whole package of pills below, and it seemed that these portions were enough for him to eat for a year. After arriving at the police station, he didn't mention anything about the pills. And on the way home from the police station, Shaohui, who took a pill, once again embarked on the path of cheating. In the blink of an eye, Shaohui had a brand new life plan. Firstly, he asked Tony to give himself a standard wealthy hairstyle. Then, he spent 4 days writing the novel, 3 days learning to play the piano, listening to a few foreign languages, and finally fell for a foreign girl in a bar. He even applied his supercomputing power to the casino. At this moment, Shaohui is almost invincible. He can confidently talk in front of elites in any field, but these are not Shaohui's ultimate goals. What he truly wants is to become the President of the United States, but the campaign path requires a large amount of money for promotion. As for what kind of money can be earned the fastest, it is the stock market. Then Shaohui borrowed $100,000 from a high-interest loan and went to apply for a job at a securities company. With the blessing of the pill, he was crazily doing mathematical calculations, and in just 1 week, Shaohui directly turned his account's $100,000 into $2 million. As soon as the news came out, the entire financial industry was boiling. He not only received offers from 4 large companies, but even financial giant Carl did not show much attention, and even his ex-girlfriend who abandoned him back then began to embrace him again. Quickly, Shaohui met with financial giant Carl and confidently revealed his unique analysis of the stock market and his secret for personal use, which made Carl feel somewhat inferior. Carl no longer doubted Shaohui's strength because he encountered a more difficult problem and urgently needed someone like Shaohui to help. Before he could finish speaking, Shaohui inferred from the information that Carl's true purpose was to find him. He originally intended to monopolize the entire energy project, but a group called Bandung became his stumbling block. Carl promises that if Shaohui can help him acquire the other party, I will also give you countless wealth. However, Carl was unaware that Shaohui's ambition went beyond that. He also had to use Carl, a wealthy man, as a stepping stone to gain the support of Wall Street and ultimately become the President of the United States smoothly. Just as he was feeling proud, he didn't know that the sequelae of the pill had already begun to break out, because he had unintentionally and tirelessly walked over a dozen streets, and all his memories had become fragmented. 1 second he hallucinated that he was in a bar, and the next second he went to attend an art exhibition. It is obvious that he has lost not only his memory, but also his own body. If he continues at this speed, it may not be long before Shaohui becomes a zombie controlled by pills and leaks out. When he woke up the next morning, he also made up his mind to stop taking the pills. However, when he was preparing to work and flipping through the materials, he found that the content inside was like a heavenly book, and he was about to go to the new company to report on it. He had no choice but to have the courage to meet Carl. As expected, Carl's question was not only unanswerable, but his attention was also deeply drawn to the television. The model who died in the news was the handsome guy who spent the spring night with him last night. Upon learning of it, he immediately vomited uncontrollably. He was not sure if he had killed the model himself. In order to uncover the truth about the pills, he took out his brother-in-law's account book and began calling each person inside one by one. But when he received the answer, he was also suddenly startled into a cold sweat, because the people on the list either died or became vegetative. It is obvious that Shaohui may also embark on this tragic path. And just as he finished his last phone call, he didn't expect the bell to ring from behind, and the other person was the assassin who had been in ambush for a long time. It was obvious that the drug incident had been exposed, which led to the fire of killing himself. Fortunately, Shaohui quickly got into a taxi and managed to save his life. At this moment, he didn't expect to meet his ex-wife at the restaurant, and her ferocious face almost scared him out of his wits. It turned out that his ex-wife was the first person to take the pill. When he realized something was wrong, he immediately stopped taking the medication, and the situation escalated to this point. Although Shaoshui felt anxious and uneasy after learning about it, the situation had already developed to this point, and how could he abandon all his previous efforts? And just as he was about to take another pill, he happened to run into the troublemaker who was taking high-interest loans. It has to be said that Shaoshui is really stingy. You have already earned millions, and even the hundreds of thousands of high-interest loans have not been repaid yet. In the end, he was also beaten up. Coincidentally, the thug saw the pill he dropped on the ground at this moment, and he was even more ruthless than him. Without any hesitation, he swallowed it directly. In the end, after receiving the debt, he also swaggered away. At this moment, Shaoshui, who had lost his pills, was exhausted. He used all his strength to come to his girlfriend's office and begged her to help him get the pills. Although his girlfriend's face was covered in circles at the moment, looking at Xiaoshui's weak face, he had no choice but to act accordingly. Although he successfully retrieved the pills, he was still followed along the way. That person was none other than the girlfriend of the assassin who was chasing Xiaoshui at the time. She quickly got off the car and ran into the nearby park, while the assassin was also closely following her from behind. Although my girlfriend brought in two big men with her femininity, she still couldn't stop the killer's killing. Soon, the two big men received the boxed lunch on the spot. When his girlfriend saw the scene in front of him, she was so scared that she turned around and ran away. He quickly called Shaoshui for help, and Shaoshui told him to take a pill quickly. There was no other way now, so his girlfriend had to follow suit and take it. The next moment, when he put down the phone, he understood why his boyfriend was so obsessed with pills. Although Shaoshui survived a great disaster, soon another problem arose one after another. After experiencing the power of pills, the previous thugs also approached Shaoshui again and threatened him to hand over the pills. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Shaoshui had no choice but to give him a few shots. As he watched the pills decrease one by one, Shaoshui had to pay a lot of money to hire 2 bodyguards and even move into the impenetrable presidential suite. Only by not putting himself in danger could he fully devote himself to the path of the presidency. In the following time, he also helped Lao Band secure one project after another, making a huge fortune. In order to ensure a continuous energy source for the pills, he also spent a lot of money to purchase a laboratory to replicate the pills. With the superpowers of the pills, Shaoshui quickly helped the boss solve the competition and eventually became a world figure in the energy monopoly industry. Boss Carl is very clear that for a genius like Shaoshui, he will not always be inferior to others. Sooner or later, he will become his arch-rival. It is obvious that Carl's heart is narrow-minded because Shaoshui's real goal is to become the President of the United States, but now he is caught up in a murder case. And in order to get rid of suspicion, he hired the most vicious lawyer in the world with a large sum of money, and the other party truly deserves to be the most vicious lawyer. Soon, Shaoshui's accusations were easily cleared by him, and Shaoshui also hurriedly rushed to the company to sign the final agreement, but the president of Bandung Group did not appear for a long time. Just as the other party was leaving, Shaoshui realized that the other party's driver was planning to assassinate him. This time he finally understood that the killer's purpose was to get medicine for Boss Wanlong. It is obvious that the other party has lost their medication supply, while their own medicine is constantly flowing. Just as Shaoshui was still feeling proud, a group of thugs came knocking on him again. The iron door, which was 8 meters away, had no place to use in front of the cutting machine. The thug who broke through the door questioned him about the source of the medicine and even boasted about his new discovery that injections could also extend the effectiveness of the medicine. Just as he was proud to face the handsome young man, he was instantly taken aback. Soon, the thug fell to the ground. Your boxed meals. In order to kill the remaining 2, Shaoshui had no choice but to open his mouth and suck on the blood of the pill. With the help of the medicine, the 2 thugs were no match for him. In just a few minutes, they received the boxed lunch on the spot. At the same time, news of the death of boss Wan Long came from the hospital, and the assassin was also bribed by Xiao Shuai in a few words because his boss had all hung up. What's the use of killing Xiao Shuai now? So, 2 years passed, and Xiao Shuai transformed into a senator in the United States, just one step away from becoming president. Just as he was full of confidence in realizing his dream, Carl walked into his office uninvited. But he didn't come to congratulate him, but instead revealed a shocking secret. It turned out that he had acquired a pharmaceutical company, which was the research and development site of pills. Therefore, he quietly closed Xiao Shuai's laboratory and said that he would provide unlimited supply of drugs to Xiao Shuai in the future. His only condition was for Xiao Shuai to only serve himself. Carl's move is really amazing, but to his surprise, the corners of Xiao Shuai's mouth curved into a slight smile. Originally, he had already improved the pill, and now not only will there be no side effects, but the effect will continue forever. Carl thought it was impossible when he heard it, but Xiao Shuai's subsequent performance completely taught him how to be a good person. What? Faced with the existence of Xiao Shuai's cheating behavior, Carl, who was not yet alive, could only leave in a disheartened state. Since then, nothing in the world has been able to defeat Xiao Shuai anymore, but only this Chinese sentence. If you like videos, please like and follow me. The next episode will be even more exciting.